I don't care if that's the ugliest thumbnail I have ever made in my entire life. I can't hold this box any longer. Abalama Halam. All right, hold on. Didn't see that coming. Abalam. Can you spray books with Febreze? Because I'm telling you, how do you get the stink out of books? Everything I know about Rome, I learned in The Gladiator. Halamatandra. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I have another mystery box of books unboxing video to bring to you today. I purchased this box from booksbythefoot.com. They will send you all different kinds of books, books by color, books by subject, massive boxes of books, shelf fillers, like they're serious. They will send you a ton of books. Now granted, you do have to pay for them. I purchased the box of mass market paperbacks. It is advertised to come with around 75 books. The base cost for this is $16.99, but you are responsible for shipping. I think that shipping was like $25. So when it was all said and done, for $40, I got 75 mass market paperbacks. Here's why I'm okay with this deal. Here's why I wanted to do this. Number one, you guys seem to really like when I am utterly disappointed by surprise merchandise that I have paid for. You guys appreciate those videos, so I'm more than happy to keep doing them because in the moment it might not be so fun, but it kind of is. Number two, if you are a regular viewer of my channel, then you know that I am starting a genre project, which means that I need to get my hands on books that are outside of my normal and most frequently read genres and subgenres. And I don't really know where to start with that. I don't really want to spend a ton of money buying a bunch of books that I may not like. So I'm hoping that this box will contain some books that can fit into the possible subgenres that I might draw every month out of my handy dandy TBR subgenre bowl of yummy, yummy goodness. I don't know what else to call it. I did already open the box, which means that I have seen the paperbacks that are on top, but I just did that because it's super heavy and I didn't want to fuss with trying to open it on camera while holding it and all of that. So that's done. Here we go. All right, we will be here for hours if I get into a lot of detail with these books, so I probably will not. But they stink. The first, that's always the problem. Like good books or bad books, it doesn't really matter. It also doesn't matter where they come from. They always have a very distinct smell. The first book that I'm pulling out is Last Witness by Jillianne Hoffman. It's obviously some sort of mystery thriller. It is the story of a special agent trying to get to the bottom of why cops are being hunted down and murdered. It's a legal thriller blurbed by Nelson DeMille. So far, not exactly something that I wouldn't read. This is one to keep in mind if I draw the legal thriller subgenre at some point. If you've watched the other unboxing videos, then you know how frustrating it is to get a limited number of books and have most of the books that you receive not be the first book in a series, but actually the 4th, 9th, 15th book in a series. I am happy to say that this is book 1 of the Bounty Hunter Wars. It is Star Wars The Mandalorian Armor. I would never. This is by K.W. Jeter. I don't know if this is even popular. Like, not gonna lie, I have a real touch and go history with Star Wars. Like, yes, I've seen them. No, I cannot tell you everything that happens in these movies other than the stereotypical really popular things like Luke, I'm your father. So I would have absolutely no idea how interesting this is to Star Wars fans. And is Star Wars science fiction or is Star Wars fantasy? Does anybody... I don't even know that. So I couldn't even tell you immediately what genre to place this in, which is super sad. Wow, this actually sounds interesting. And I've never read this author, but this is the Mephisto Mephisto Club. It says equally fascinating and horrifying. The pages seem to turn themselves. But this is the story of a medical examiner and a detective who link a victim to this club, which is actually, it says, a cult of scholars who aim to prove that Satan exists among us. And there's a grisly appearance of an additional corpse, and so they have a serial killer. Looking at my list of thriller subgenres, I mean, there is obviously the crime subgenre, forensic. This could definitely fit, I believe, into forensic. I'm not entirely sure, but it actually sounds pretty interesting to me. Oh, this book screams science fiction. So this is Celestial Hit List, Book 3 of the Sand Wars by Charles Ingrid. So points are deducted because this is book 3. I'm not going to start with a book 3. Although I do really feel like awarding it a couple of points for the very first line of the synopsis, which is death by laser. Because, come on. So this is the story of a Dominion knight. People are trying to assassinate him in space. And there's another girl, simply named Amber, who has psychic abilities and has been programmed to kill with her mind. And they're on a distant world where an alien is seeking to undermine Dominion rule, while the natives prepare for a long prophesized third age. I mean, there's a lot going on in this novel. I feel as though there's a lot. Okay. This is Seduced by Moonlight. This is by Laurel K. Hamilton. Blurbed as being imaginative and highly erotic. Okay, so this is about a woman named Meredith who is hiding among the humans in Los Angeles. And she is surrounded by the Queen's guards because the Queen wants her to get pregnant. The guards are immortal. And then even though she spends each night with them, no child has come of their decadent pleasures. So this is an erotic paranormal romance, basically, which erotic romance is a subgenre and paranormal romance is a subgenre. But of course, this might be science fiction-y or fantasy. It depends. Like, what is she the queen of? Queen of air and darkness. Oh my gosh. The blurb actually says, from romance and high fantasy to detective story. Well, which is it? Okay, next we have a book called Atlantis by David Gibbons. This looks to be some sort of adventure novel. The sentence, "and the greatest adventure of them all begins," is kind of my clue there. But basically, I think it's about Atlantis. Yes, this is about a marine archaeologist who has stumbled upon the key to uncovering Atlantis. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm not super excited about it, but depending on what other action adventure thrillers are out there, I could definitely see myself honing in on one about Atlantis versus some other subject matter, if that makes any sense. Okay, it looks like there are some nonfiction books in here, and I'm going to go ahead and skip any nonfiction titles. There is that. Oh, this is a chunker. Chronicles of the Necromancer, Dark Haven, Gail Z. Martin. Wonder what number book this is. Dark Haven is book 3. Doggone it. I mean, this is very clearly fantasy, probably high fantasy. It's about a new king of a kingdom that is in ruins and another important guy. And also a group of vampires who do not want a mortal leader. I'm intrigued. I'm not going to lie. I am intrigued, but I shouldn't probably begin with book 3. So, in one of my other mystery box of books unboxings, I was given a hardcover copy of The Da Vinci Code, and now I've been given a paperback copy of Angels and Demons. There's 75 books this thick in this box. No wonder it was so heavy. This is The Grass Crown by Colleen McCullough. Okay, this is a story about ancient Rome. Didn't see that coming. Specifically, an aging and ailing Gaius Marius, who longs for an unprecedented 7th consulship of Rome. So this is like a historical political thriller. Everything I know about Rome, I learned in The Gladiator. Science fiction adventure. Man, you don't get any more blatant than that. It is right there. Science fiction adventure. This is The End of the Matter by Alan Dean Foster. Oh my gosh. You guys. Okay, accompanied by his faithful mini-dreg Pip and a most troublesome alien called Abalama Halam... Alright, hold on. Abalama Halamatandra, or Ab for short. He sets out for the ruggedly primitive home planet of his flying snake. I am not at all interested in this book, but I am going to 150% give it to Alan Dean Foster for creativity. But a lot of these books are very clearly used, and I purchased them with the understanding that they would be used. But this Dan Brown mass market looks like, I mean, this has never been read. And if it has been read and you are the person who can read a mass market paperback without cracking the binding, then you are not of this world. And I hope your intentions here are good. Okay, so another Dan Brown novel called Deception Point. This has the seal of the President of the United States right on the cover. I'm guessing political thriller. A conspiracy of staggering brilliance. A thriller unlike you've ever read. A victory with profound implications for NASA policy and the impending presidential election. So, conspiracy, political. I don't like political thrillers, but I'm going to have to read some eventually. So, really not mad at this at all. Sandra Brown writes what I would consider to be like dramatic leaning romantic suspense. But this one is about not a serial killer, a cold-blooded psychopath who has escaped the penitentiary where he was serving a life sentence. And a woman who has recently been widowed, and she was born deaf. She has a son, and she's trying to hang on to the ranch that her and her son live on. And a drifter arrives, hoping to protect the innocent woman and her son from the psychopath. I'm not mad at it at all. Wow. Okay. Again, like not binding, not broken. Okay. So here's what I'm discovering about books by the foot. Pay attention. A lot of these mass market paperbacks, I don't believe have ever been read. Also, they're from ultra recognizable authors. But here we have one by Michael Crichton called Rising Sun. You guys probably know way more about this book than I do. Grand opening celebration of a tech company in downtown LA in the Nakamoto Tower. I'm having Die Hard. In that building, a woman's dead body is discovered. And the investigation begins and immediately becomes a headlong chase through a twisting maze of industrial intrigue, a no-holds-barred conflict in which control over a vital American technology is the fiercely coveted prize. This one is used. The binding is broken. However, it's really well known. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. I have not read this book. Not gonna lie, I have wanted to. And the Genre Project may give me a reason to. 2 books by the lovely Nora Roberts, which she's pretty popular in these mystery book boxes, not gonna lie. The first is called The Pagan Stone. It is unfortunately book 3 of the Sign of Seven trilogy. However, I also have Blood Brothers, which is book 1 of the Sign of Seven trilogy. Every 7 years on the 7th day of the 7th month, strange things happen. It began when 3 young boys, Caleb, Fox, and Gage, went on a camping trip to the Pagan Stone, and 21 years later, it will end in a showdown between evil and the boys who have become men and the women who love them. So, paranormal romance, maybe? Okay, The Night Crew by John Sanford. It's about a mobile unit of video freelancers who prowl the midnight streets for news to sell to the highest network bidder. But yeah, this sounds interesting. This was published in 1997, so my only concern would be that it seems to be like a video technology kind of book that's 20 years old. That would be my only concern. But other than that, it does sound very interesting. Elizabeth Berg's book, Range of Motion. This is a romance novel. I am pretty positive. Huh. It's not a romance. But, I mean, can you blame me? Look at the cover. It looks like a romance. mostly the font. But it is about a woman whose husband lies in a coma, presumably because he was hit in the head by a chunk of ice. She is the only one that believes her husband will recover, and she visits him frequently. What gets her through this ordeal are the relationships she has with two very special women, each of whom teaches her about the enduring bond of friendship and the genuine power of hope. This could be the book that stinks. Done talking. That was bad. Whew. Nicholas Sparks, wildly popular name. I've never personally read a Nicholas Sparks novel, but this one is The Rescue. I've also not heard of this one. It's probably the one of 5,000 that were not made into film. It's about a volunteer fireman who cannot fall in love. He rescues troubled women, but inevitably leaves them as soon as they want more from him. He finds an unconscious woman, and she's missing her son, and so he's searching for her son, and then a connection develops, and inevitably one of them dies, because that's how Nicholas Sparks rolls. Solomon versus Lord. They'll win Miami's hottest murder trial if they don't kill each other first. This says, a sexy, wacky, wonderful thriller with humor and heart. That was a statement by Harlan Coben. Steve Solomon is the sharpest lawyer ever to barely graduate. Victoria Lord is fresh from Yale and engaged. When these two take on the steamiest murder trial of the century, the case is sure to make headlines scream and sparks fly. Now with Solomon inventing his own laws and Lord sticking to the real ones, they must solve the case before they end up in ruin, in jail, or in bed. God, these stink so bad. Oh boy. Too Dangerous to Desire by Alexandra Benedict. This is a scandalous cover. This is about a man who rescues a woman about to commit suicide because she is being forced to marry a depraved prince. So he rescues her and then takes her back to his place. Not really that interesting to me. There's a ton of books to choose from in historical romance. I'm not sure that would be the one. This has been a well-loved copy of The English Assassin by Daniel Silva. He's a recognizable name. This is about an Israeli spy who's hired by a banker to clean a painting by one of the old masters. But he arrives and he's standing in his client's blood and he is framed for the murder. Michael Connelly, The Overlook. Yes, this is this is a Harry Bosch novel, which is a whole series by Michael Connelly. This is definitely not the first. So, Tom Clancy. Oh boy. I'm confused. I don't know. This is Power Plays, and then it says Shadow Watch. And Tom Clancy's a little too mainstream for me, if I'm being honest. Dragon Companion. The incredible story of a boy and his dragon, or is it a dragon and his boy? Oh boy, we have another Dan Brown book. Look out. I'm going to be able to read all of Dan Brown's books by the time this is all said and done. This one's Digital Fortress, a book about the NSA and their invincible code-breaking machine. So they call a cryptographer, Susan Fletcher. Not gonna lie, this sounds completely delicious. Just like, there's a female nerd at the center of the story. We have our first horror novel. First horror novel that has appeared in any of these mystery boxes, if I'm remembering correctly. It's Amityville, The Evil Escapes. When George and Kathy Lutz fled their home in Amityville, they took nothing but the clothes on their backs. They left behind toys, power tools, furniture, appliances, everything. They never wanted to see anything associated with that house again. And now the contents of the house will be sold. Some people who are hunting for bargains will end up with a lot more than they ever imagined. Look at me. Woo! We're going to keep that in mind. I think I'm going to read this stack. Okay, Dale Brown. Not to be confused by Dan Brown. Warrior Class. Taken the modern military thriller to bold new heights. Military thriller is on my list. It's about a collapsing Russia and an oil magnate. seizing the opportunity to take control. Basically, he's hijacking the Russian army. I'm not interested at all. Cowboy on Call by Lee Riker. Oh, he's a doctor, and he experienced a tragedy in the Himalayas that has him doubting his medical skills. And so he's staying on a ranch with his brother's ex. This is delicious. Oh my goodness. It's the large print version. The Virgin's Secret by Victoria Alexander. Historical romance. Adventurer Nathaniel Harrington would never steal another man's discovery. And he'd never be so dishonorable as to tempt an untouched woman into his bed. William W. Johnstone. First time in print. The First Mountain Man. Preacher's Peace. This is considered a Western, so nah. Tell me if this sounds familiar. A grizzly bear attack left him half dead, and he could no longer protect himself. By the time he was found, he had been abandoned and double-crossed. Doesn't that sound like The Revenant? Here's another recognizable name. It is a legal thriller by John Grisham, The Street Lawyer. But this is about Michael Brock, who's doing great. He's great. He one step from partnership, Michael is. And then a homeless man takes 9 lawyers hostage in the firm's plush offices. When it is all over, the man's blood is splattered on Michael's face, and suddenly Michael is willing to do the unthinkable. Michael is leaving the big time for the streets, where his attacker once lived, and where society's powerless need an advocate for justice. I don't remember much about my John Grisham experiences. They were probably when I was 16, 17, 18. Yeah, this one was published when I was a senior in high school when I was 18. Just like he's one of the most recognizable names of legal thrillers in the last however many years. Another Sandra Brown book called Hello Darkness. This is about a woman who lives in isolation but hosts a popular radio show. And one listener identifies himself as Valentino. His girl jilted him because of some advice that Paris gave her. And he intends to exact revenge by killing not only the girl, but also coming after Paris. So she enlists the help of a man from her past, a crime psychologist, Dean Malloy. I have another one by her as well. This one is Unspeakable. No, this is the same book. Huh. Anne Rice, writing as Anne Rampling. Belinda. I don't know if that... Oh, Belinda is the ultimate fantasy. A golden-haired object of desire. She's only 16. And there's a 44-year-old illustrator of children's books lusting after her. That's uncomfortable. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm curious, but I am slightly uncomfortable. Tom Clancy's The Patriot Games. I don't need to say anything about it, and I really don't intend to read it. Tony Hillerman, Finding Moon. One phone call in 1975 changes Moon Matthias's predictable life forever. His dead brother's baby daughter is waiting for him in Southeast Asia. Iris Johansson, Eve Duncan forensic thriller, Blind Alley. I'm sure this is not the first. I would have to do some research to confirm, but in this book there is a gigantic list of books by Iris Johansson, so I'm doubting that it's the first. Here's another Nicholas Sparks book that I've never heard of, At First Sight. It's a pretty vague synopsis, but it's about a divorcee who swore he'd never give his heart away again or never become a parent, yet he's living in North Carolina, engaged to the love of his life and anticipating the start of their family. Then some mysterious email arrives and sets off a chain of events that will test the strength of their love. Well, I want to know what the email was about. Okay, no. You don't even need to know what book it is. The answer is no. The Sum of All Fears by Tom Clancy. I should, I'm not going to lie. But it's 914 pages, thus I won't. W.E.B. Griffin, The Secret Warriors. A Men at War novel. No. Washington, D.C., 1942. See, it's historical fiction, so I'm off the hook, right? I need to pull out an interesting one. Here's another John Grisham book. This one I've not heard of. Gray Mountain? It's about a woman who loses her job on Wall Street. So she moves from Manhattan to Brady, Virginia, the heart of Appalachia, which I love, Virginia and West Virginia. And her job takes her to the murky and dangerous world of coal mining. I would read this over reading The Street Lawyer because I have history with West Virginia, and a lot of my family members were coal miners, one of which was actually a mine inspector. Like this more than that. Piers Anthony. No, thinking Piers Morgan. Unicorn Point, sequel to Robot Adept, book 6 of the Apprentice Adept series. Super cheesy cover. Not even going to get into it because it's like booked 427. Ooh, this never been read. J.R. Ward Covet, a novel of the fallen angels. J.R. Ward writes the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, which is also on my bucket list. And this is the first in an explosive new series. It's about a fallen angel charged with saving the souls of 7 people from the 7 deadly sins. Oh, I'm so there. I'm so there. Like, I'm about to read it right this second. Robert Ludlum's The Hades Factor, an unknown doomsday virus. Skipping it. That's a little too close to home. And I have another copy of Angels and Demons. Oh, no. Okay, here's another Iris Johansson. Firestorm. This is not the first. I don't know if this is from the same series as the other book that I was sent. I'll have to dig it back out of the box. But this is not the first at all. It says now Carrie works as an arson investigator with her evidence-sniffing dog Sam. Maybe this is a standalone. I'm going to keep it here. I'm going to look it up. Stephen Kuntz, Deep Black Jihad, Airy by Mercedes Lackey. Fantasy novel. It says the concluding volume of the Dragon Jousters. Not the first in the series. This is the 4th book in the series, so. The Bourne Identity. I've never read it. Obviously, I've seen the movie, which I enjoyed the film, but would I necessarily enjoy the book? I'm not entirely sure. I tend to like whatever I experience first. So people are always having the age-old movie or book debate, and mine is never the same. I can't say unequivocally that I've always liked the book first, because if I experience the movie first and then I try to read the book, I prefer the movie. If I read the book first and then see the movie, I prefer the book. Rage of Angels. This had to be published in the 80s. This is bringing me back. Copyright 1980. Boom. This book is as old as me, ladies and gentlemen. This is a love story amidst organized crime. This is the OG mafia romance. 1980. Patricia Cornwell. Book of the Dead. Is this about Kay? Is this the Kay Scarpetta? Is that my hair? God, I hope so. I am slowly, one mystery box of books at a time, accumulating Patricia Cornwell novels. I have another novel by Sidney Sheldon. The Sands of Time. Spain. A land of eternal passion and unceasing bloodshed. From the vengeance of a pitiless tyrant, 4 women flee the sacred, once safe walls of a convent. Lucia, the proud survivor, harboring a murderous secret from the savage clan wars of Sicily. Graciela, the beauty still unpurged of guilt from one reckless youthful sin. Megan, the orphan seeking perilous refuge in the arms of a defiant Basque rebel. And Teresa, the believer haunted by a faith that mocks her with silence. Leaving innocence but not hope behind, they venture into an alien, dazzling world where each will encounter an unexpected destiny and the truth about herself. The Los Angeles Times called it a whale of a story. There's nothing flattering about that. A whale of a story. Come on. Adventure, romance, heroism. A ripping good yarn. My, how things have changed. Robin Hobb, the Farseer, Assassin's Apprentice. A richly detailed debut, highly recommended. This, I recognize. because I've spent a lot of time looking for books that could potentially fit into the subgenres that are part of the genre project. The Assassin's Apprentice appeared on probably multiple Goodreads lists as examples of fantasy, but it's about a bastard son of a noble prince treated as an outcast and he can do magic. I'll have to go back and look, but this might be an unexpected treasure. Oh, there it is. Coming of age fantasy. I literally wrote down, typed in my handy dandy spreadsheet, Assassin's Apprentice. Can you believe it? Can't let that sucker out of my sight. The Mistress Diaries by Julianne Mclean. A proper lady would never let herself become his mistress. The night I met Lord Vincent Sinclair, son of the Duke of Pembroke, was the night I lost control. Oh, honey. I have never heard of the author. I will keep this for the historical romance possibilities. Oh, we like this lady, don't we? Karen Slaughter, A Faint Cold Fear. What are we? Sarah Linton, look at you. Sarah Linton and Jeffrey. Is this the next one? No, Kiss Cut is the next one. But I read Blindsided. And so it says Kiss Cut, and then it looks like this might be the next one. So we're hanging on to that, but I'm not going to read anything about it because I haven't read Kiss Cut yet. Good Lord, Dan Brown. I have another copy of Digital Fortress by Dan Brown, also unread. Somebody called Dan. Tell him that people are just giving away his unread novels. I have another Sandra Brown. This one's called Deadline. Well-respected journalist Dawson Scott. Okay, so I'm confused. There's a lot going on in the synopsis, but basically he's a journalist who recently returned from Afghanistan and is suffering from those experiences, but he's covering the disappearance and presumed murder of a former Marine who happens to be the biological son of a pair of terrorists. And as Dawson covers this story, he begins developing feelings for this missing Marine's ex-wife, who also has 2 sons. Then someone else close to her turns up dead. And then he is a my goodness. Then he's a suspect. Sandra Brown again. Envy. This is about a publisher who receives a really good manuscript that has blockbuster potential. And so she goes to meet the author to a remote island in Georgia and finds Parker Evans, a male concealing his identity and his past. But apparently there's some connection between the novel and her own life. It's a book about a book. I should just open a Sandra Brown bookstore at this point. Christina Dodd, In Bed with the Duke, historical romance. Clearly, Christina Dodd, a very recognizable name in historical romance. This is a case of hidden identity. I believe the Duke is hiding his identity, and we have a lady's companion, Emma. So their relationship would be very forbidden. It says great read guaranteed, so you can return it if you don't like it. But the offer expires May 2nd of 2010. I'm interested. Not going to lie. I'm interested in this one for sure. Speaking of books that I'm just kind of like, Dale Brown, another. Fight of the Old Dog. This looks like it was published in 1952. 1987. Okay. At the bottom, I have a couple of books by Laurel Lippman. This says standalone number 3. Somebody's been nice enough to put a note on it. On the thing, this is, you can't see it, but somebody's been nice enough to put a post-it on it that says standalone number 3. Does that mean that it's her 3rd standalone? In theory, you can't be a number 3 and a standalone. So this is called What the Dead Know. 30 years ago, 2 sisters disappeared. Decades later, there's a rush hour hit and run, and a disoriented woman claims to be Heather, one of the missing sisters. This does 100% sound like a standalone by Laura Lippman. And then this one is In a Strange City. Ooh, I'm interested. It says, every winter on the birthday of Edgar Allan Poe, a mysterious cloaked figure pays a visit to the renowned author's Baltimore gravesite, bearing gifts of 3 roses and a half a bottle of cognac. Oh, this is Tess Monahan. Tess Monahan is one of the witnesses watching and this January night, but this time she sees 2 caped visitors. One leaves his tribute and escapes. The other dies there, shot by an assassin. Which Tess Monahan book is this? Tess Monahan is Laurel Lippman's protagonist. I think this might be the first one. Oh, no, it's probably not. I began to get excited. I have another copy of The Street Lawyer by John Grisham, if anybody's interested. I have a book called Smokescreen by Dick Francis, a supersized action suspense story. Oh, geez. It's about a celebrity who plays a detective in the movies, and his ailing godmother pleads with him to travel to South Africa to investigate whether or not someone is tampering with her racehorses. And then somebody's murdered. Nicholas Evans, author of The Horse Whisperer, The Loop. This is about a pack of wolves that return to the town of Hope, Montana, where a century earlier they were slaughtered by the thousands. And a biologist who has come determined to save the wolves, but she encounters an ancient hatred and is at the center of the storm by loving the wrong man, by defying the wrong man, by daring to lead a town out of the violent darkness of its past. That's interesting. I mean, sounds interesting, right? No? An extraordinary new novel of love, family, and man's struggle with the wild. It would be incredibly uncharacteristic for me. All right. This is either the second copy that I accidentally put back in the original box, or I have a third copy of The Street Lawyer. I'm not sure. This is the Armageddon Project Book 1. So I could start a new series with this if I so choose. Basically, Stony Man is a government-sanctioned strategic operations group that monitors world hotspots, and they're ready for immediate action when danger strikes. I mean, I'm not interested. Would it fit in a genre? Yeah. Okay, 2 more books. One of them is pretty obvious. The Testament by John Grisham, where an old man gives his entire fortune to $11 billion fortune to a mysterious woman named Rachel Lane, a missionary living in the jungles of Brazil, and a disgraced corporate attorney fresh out of rehab who has to find her. If you've read The Testament, let me know what you think, because that one I'm kind of on the fence about. If I had to still pick a legal thriller by John Grisham to read, it would still be the one about the coal mines. So, David Brin, The Uplift War, an uplift novel. Among the most thrilling and extraordinary science fiction ever written, a brutal alien race seizes the dying planet of Garth. Could it fit? Yes. Yes, it could. Should it fit? I don't know. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. My third go at a mystery box of books. The unedited version of this video is 1 hour and 40 minutes long. Hopefully I managed to trim that down for you guys. I did have to take a couple of breaks. Let me know if you saw a book in this box that I overlooked, but you think I would enjoy or you think would be interesting. I'm curious. Also, let me know if I sounded interested in a book that you definitely think I should steer clear of. Hope you had a good time with this one, like you seem to have done in the past with the others. This was my money's worth, I believe. I'm left with probably 30 mass market paperbacks that I'm semi-interested in reading or semi-interested in learning more about. Mass market paperbacks are typically $6.99, $7.99, $8.99. So we'll just say 30 times 8, $240 that I would have spent on these brand new. And I got instead a huge box of books for $16.99 plus shipping from booksbythefoot.com. I'll leave a link down in the description box below if you're interested in seeing what kinds of things they sell. You don't have to get mass market paperbacks. You can get hardcovers. You can even select the genre in which you want your hardcovers to be. But what fun is that? This is way more fun. This video is not sponsored. I just randomly found them on the internet and ordered from them. They have no idea who I am. And that's that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon.